Good morning, grade 12. This is chapter 1, section 1, and we're talking about the Renaissance. To start, what do I mean by Renaissance? Renaissance means the reformation, the rebirth, or the generation of new ideas. The time frame that we're talking about is from 1350 to 1550. So the Renaissance lasted for 200 years. Okay? It started with development in art and development in thinking. The main subjects that were studied were arts, anatomy, psychology, astronomy, all of these literary subjects. They were subjects that went back to the Greek and Roman times. So, the Renaissance, as we said, is the rebirth. The time frame is from 200, lasted for 200 years, which is from 1350 to 1550. And they were studying the old or ancient Greek and Roman studies and subjects. Now, the Renaissance started in Italy, or the birthplace of Renaissance was Italy. Why? There were three advantages that made Italy the birthplace of the Renaissance. The first advantage is that it was from the thriving cities. Thriving means wealthy or developing, okay? Italy was the center of the Roman Empire. Okay, it had many wealthy citizens. They could afford to pay painters, sculptors, architects. Therefore, they had many pieces of art and they had many things to study. Italy was also divided into independent city-states, but they competed with each other. This competition was good. Why? Because it brought the best out from each city-state. Everyone wanted to have the best economy, the best art, the best sculpture pieces or statues. So they were competing with each other, the different city-states, and this resulted that Italy was the most developed city-state or city during the whole time of the Renaissance. The last advantage, or the third advantage, is that it has the heritage of Greece and Rome. Okay, during the Middle Ages or after the Middle Ages, most of the Greek and Roman art was destroyed. But when the Renaissance came after the Middle Ages, they got their inspiration from the Greek and Roman ruins. They started studying it, they started imitating it, and they created many schools to reteach the Greek and Roman art. Okay, so Italy had three advantages. Or if I ask you why was Italy the birthplace of Renaissance, you have three advantages to say. The first one, that it was a wealthy city. It had many wealthy citizens. Most of them were traders and merchants, so trading was a lot or happened a lot in Italy itself, more than the other city-states. And the merchants, they traded a lot of things. They got a lot of things from all over the world. So the culture was different. The culture was rich than the rest of Rome. The second advantage is wealthy citizens. These wealthy citizens, they had money, they could afford to pay painters, sculptors, and therefore they had resources. These resources helped them study the ancient and Greek ruins, and they helped them pay the artists to teach them or to paint for them, so they had resources to use. Finally, the competition, or the heritage of Greek and Rome. The competition made Italy developed, so the citizens were developed. They were literate, which means they knew how to read and write. Okay, so they went back to the Greek and Roman heritage to develop Italy. So these are the three advantages. These are some pictures of the things that developed in Italy by the sculptors and the artists. Now, the other city-states. Florence. Most famous, it produced many artists. The Medici family was Florence's richest. So Florence was known for its artists or paintings. Okay, one of the most important families that you will learn about is the Medici family. Okay, next lesson we will study the Medici family in details. And what did they do? They were a family of bankers and accountants. They were very rich, and later on they were ruling Florence, or they were ruling this city-state. Venice was another city-state that competed during the time of Renaissance, but different from Florence, they were known for sailors and shipbuilders. Since they're known for sailors and shipbuilders, it means that they are known for the trading. They were the ones responsible for getting the spices and ideas and cloth and gems and everything from the other part of the world. Okay? They used canals instead of roads. As you all know that Venice has no roads. This is why most of them are sailors and shipbuilders. They're familiar with water. The other cities are Genoa, Milan, and Rome. They were known for different artistic activities, but they were not as strong as Venice, Florence, and Italy. Now, why did the city-states of Italy rise? Why there were city-states? Why wasn't it all one country and that's it? The first reason is there were no ruler that could unite Italy. Most of the people who tried to rule, they were too weak to control the whole country. So each city-state or each part of Italy started to fight many wars over their territories. At the end, they decided that they are going to divide themselves into city-states, divide their territories, and each city-state is ruled by one powerful person. They don't have to find one powerful person for the whole city-states. When they started dividing, or when they divided themselves into city-states, each city-state was focused on its own activity. Whoever had artists was the leader in art. Whoever had sculptures was the leader in statues. Whoever had more writers and schools was the leader in books and publishing places and literary terms or literary ideas in general. And whoever had, like Venice, water, and experts in ships, they were the leaders in trading. So each city-state focused on its own activity. This is why the competition made Italy the best, or the birthplace of Renaissance. Each city-state focused on a different activity that was concerned with art, literature, science, and trading. They were linked to the East. During the Middle Ages, Marco Polo, he traveled around and he got different ideas and culture back to Italy. So, as we said, each city-state was ruled by one powerful man. Niccolo Machiavelli, he wrote how a ruler should maintain the power in his book, The Prince, published in 1513. You should know the book, you should know the date, and you should know the writer or the author. This book helped many men later on to develop how to rule city-states. And later on, Italy or the Italian city-states were ruled in almost the exact same way because most of them followed the book, which later on resulted that Italy was or will become united. Machiavelli believed in his book that rulers should do whatever it takes to maintain power. He said that it's better to be feared than loved. The idea of ruling the Italian city-states was not democratic, okay? It was more like a dictatorship, but a good dictatorship. The ruler should be strong, should be powerful. There were no opinions allowed because the ruler should be an intellectual person, an educated person who has background in art, in science, and in politics. This is the only reason why the Italian city-states worked out. The ruler was not just a tyrant, was just not a dictator. No, the ruler was a tyrant and a dictator, but with a good background. He knew things in trades, he knew things in art and literature and science. He had knowledge in all of these things. That's why he knew how to take the good decisions. And this is why they did not allow opinion. Okay, people feared them more than they loved them, but they ruled the city-states fairly, or at least for a while. This is Machiavelli. That's him. Different paintings of him, actually, and statues. Okay, now, in your book, you will see a page that talks about the Renaissance man and a Renaissance woman. At that time, people came out from the Dark Ages. And women at that time and poor men were not allowed to take part in any activities or any school or any education. But when the Renaissance showed up, or when the Renaissance started, they started uh, showing the idea of the Renaissance man. What is a Renaissance man? Is a man who excelled in many fields, or known as the universal man. They started pushing people to go and study, to go and become educated. A Renaissance man is a man that excelled in many fields. They have knowledge in everything. What are the characteristics of a Renaissance man? He should be well educated. He should know how to play music, how to write poetry, how to be a skilled rider, a horse rider, how to be an excellent swordsman with swords. He should be witty. Witty is smart. It's different than well educated. Witty is that when someone says something and you catch it right away. You can be smart but closed at the same time. And you're smart at books, you're smart at equations, but you're not witty. You don't know how to act and talk quickly in a certain situation. So these were the things that were encouraged that men should follow and men should fulfill and become universal men or Renaissance man. Again, the characteristics were well educated, of course, play music, write poetry, skilled horse rider, wrestler, and a swordsman. He should also be witty, and there were some external things of, the fun or fantastic parts, which are dancing and singing. This is for the men. As for the women, they were also encouraged to get educated. They learned the classics, which is the old Greek and Roman history. They should also be witty and classy. They should dress up well, but they should not seek fame. A Renaissance woman was not allowed to go and make lectures or give lectures or go for becoming famous. No, they were not allowed to seek fame, but instead they were allowed to inspire or influence people. So a woman can have her opinion, she can say her opinion, it could be taken into consideration, but she should not be the leader. In your book, go back to the page, you will find that there was a book called The Courtier, in which the writer stated the characteristics of the Renaissance man and the Renaissance woman. Okay, you should know these characteristics and you should write them down because they're not written in your slides. This is where we're going to stop today, and tomorrow we will take the second part of the lesson, or the second part of the chapter, which is the new ideas and the types of art that developed during the Renaissance.